She is. Let me make sure. Oh, there she is.
Hi, Tara.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us tonight. We appreciate it.
Of course.
So, I think the first thing we should probably do is introductions. There's some new faces at the table, and I think we want to make sure everybody has a chance to meet everybody. So, I'll start and introduce myself, and then I'll go this direction and back around, and we'll finish with Kathy over here. My name is Gary Bennett, and I'm the CFO of the district.
Aaron Downs, I'm the superintendent.
Riley Carroll, I'm the assistant superintendent.
Derek Thomas, I'm a citizen of the finance committee.
Matt Kaufman, school board member and member of the finance committee.
Kathy Kwan.
And we'll finish with you, Tara.
Tara Cam, partner with Clear Trail CPAs and the district's financial statement auditor.
Excellent. Thank you all for coming tonight. We appreciate it. I believe this is our third annual meeting of this committee, which was started kind of in response when we ran into some challenging financial times to put something in place, an extra level of review and accountability for the district. So I'll just talk a little bit about the function of this committee. It's just to provide appropriate financial oversight of district operations. The main function at this time of year is really just to review the audit and take maybe a deeper dive into the audit than we might do at a board meeting. The video, it's obviously live streamed, so people at home can watch it if they want, and there's a record of it. And then this committee, one of the functions of this committee then will be to present a month from now, sort of the highlights or potentially lowlights. Not this year, I don't believe any lowlights, but then an overview of the audit to the board of directors, just to give a clear picture of where we stand. Anybody have any questions about the purpose of this committee? Okay. Well, so I think what we'll do is I'll turn it over to Tara Camp, the district's auditor, and she'll lead us through some highlights of the audit, and then I provided, we'll just get into a discussion. I did provide some possible questions to folks in your stack of information. Don't have to ask any of those questions, but they're there if they help move the conversation forward. So Tara, I'll turn it over to you.
All right, thank you very much, Gary. As I mentioned before, my name is Tara, and we're the financial statement auditors for the district. So overall, the purpose of our audit is actually threefold. We perform the financial statement audit, and that is where we're testing and assessing the financials created by management. Secondly, we perform, excuse me, the Oregon Minimum Standards compliance audit, which is where we look at various laws and regulations to ensure the district is in compliance. And lastly, we perform the federal single audit, and that is where we're looking at specific grants that rotate on an annual basis, and we're looking at those strings attached to the grants and if the district is in compliance with those. And so now for those three parts of the audit, I'll go over the results of the audit. And the results are excellent for the district. For the financial statement audit, we issued an unmodified opinion on the financial statements, and that is a clean opinion with no reservations. For state minimum standards, we found no exceptions or issues requiring comment, except as noted on page 50 of the report. For federal awards, we found no issues of noncompliance and no question costs, and we had no separate management letter issued. So that is excellent.
And Tara, when you said except where noted in the report, is that just the transportation typo that you were referencing there?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Yep.
Other things that we like to communicate with you. The district implemented a new accounting standard this year called GASB 101, compensated absences. And it was a remeasurement of compensated absences that was required by all governments. And also GASB Statement 102, certain risk disclosures, which added some financial statement note disclosures. We had no difficulties in performing and completing our audit. The district did an excellent job. preparing for the audit. That is something that they've been working to improve every year, and they're doing such a great job. The addition of Kathy was really helpful as well. She does incredibly good work. So it's a really good team, and I want to thank the finance office for all of their hard work for the audit. We know it's a lot of hard work. We had no disagreements with management about accounting and auditing items. And then lastly, in our governing body letter, we cover a couple future accounting standards coming out that will affect the current year financial statements. There is GASB 103, which is a financial reporting model improvements, and also GASB 104, which is a capital asset disclosure. So we'll work with the district to ensure that those standards are implemented as intended and that they're ready for it before final.
Derek, quick question. On the two standards you mentioned of the 101 and the 102, were those accelerated or were those required for this past year when they were implemented?
Required.
Okay.
Yes. So overall, those are the main points that I wanted to cover for the audit. As you can see, very good results, and I'm happy to take any questions or talk about the audit process or anything else you would like.
So I have a quick question. I mean, obviously, Jerry, you've been doing this now for a couple of years, which is great. You've seen history of performance and obviously some substantial improvements. Yeah, as you go along those audits, obviously last year I remember vaguely talking about, still lower level things that need to continue to be improved. Are you seeing management address those lower level things? Obviously, they've addressed the big complexity as well, but are you seeing continued improvement in some of the other things that, may sometimes fall below the radar when there's big challenges out in front of them?
Absolutely. As part of our audit, we always meet with the district twice a year, once during the year at the interim audit, and then after final, and we present what we call an exit conference memo. And that outlines everything that we find in the audit. And a lot of those items would never rise to the occasion of being reportable in the audit. There's just those little things like you're talking about. And one thing I really appreciate about the district is they really take all of those to heart and are serious about them. Even if they're not technically audit findings, they're recommendations for improvement or a little something we found there, here and there. So they really take those to heart and work to implement them in the current and future year.
Good to hear. Thank you.
No, Tara, thank you. Thank you so much for that quick summary. Thank you to everybody who pulled that together. Just to kind of reiterate what this meeting is about. So this is the financial report in my hand. It is 60 pages of pretty dense reading. And so this is really just a prompt and an accountability for all of us to make sure that at least once a year we're sitting down, we're going through it, we're discussing it. I had the chance to go through it this weekend. It was riveting, as usual. And the only, so as I flipped through, there was only that one issue that I found, which, just out of in the business of disclosure, it looks like it was just a decimal place error on a schedule that we submitted. Was
It's
that
it's a transportation report we submit to ODE,
Mhm.
and we fill in the number of miles traveled in the year. And we had one extra digit in there, which added a significant amount of the miles that we were reporting we traveled.
So that was just a disclosure of mileage, nothing financial, nothing even close to being worrisome from a district performance perspective, but
No,
hopefully.
not at all.
Yeah.
One thing
Yeah,
why
sorry.
we
Yeah.
report that is because we're required to look at the factors that affect the district's state school funding, and that's one of the factors. So it is a reportable in terms of if it affected the state school funding. However, the district was able to amend the report and turn in the correct one, so there's no long-term effect.
So just to emphasize to everybody, that's the level of detail we're going into when we're looking. It's a transportation report getting submitted to ODE with an extra digit included. which is a significant improvement from what we were doing 3 years ago. And every year when we've shown up, there's been fewer and fewer items to discuss as a group. And that's a real testament to Gary. That's a real testament to bringing Kathy on and the rest of the finance group. Really doing a fantastic job. Those are my only points.
Agreed.
Yeah, so I do have one other, just because there can't be no concern. So Tara, one thing I wanted to say, now we have the opposite problem of, is this a little bit too clean? This is a little bit too clean of an audit, and in a world where we are continually constrained from an administrative perspective, and people wear a lot of hats and have a lot of responsibilities, are there places where we could potentially, find some synergy or free up resources to devote in an operational direction, not necessarily a reporting direction? Tara, I just thought I'd raise that concern, especially since there are new standards rolling out every year, and you have to think about how do we devote resources to.
Exactly. That is such a good question and really good to think of. We don't really study workflow and people's workloads, so it's hard for me to say. I will say, just from experience working in auditing, that our workload has increased dramatically in the last few years because of the new standards coming out at such a rapid pace. And a lot of governments are grappling with the really tough decisions on how to stay in compliance with those standards and have sufficient staff time to be able to tackle them because it takes so much work, whether that's contracting out help or hiring an additional employee. But every year, it adds incrementally to the workload. And then you do get to a point where it's too much for one person or too much for two people. So that's something that's really important to always keep an eye on. I think that, especially in tough financial times, not at the district and specifically, but, statewide with school funding, it's kind of difficult to make those decisions sometimes when there has to be budget cuts or different things on who to keep on. So it's really important for continually clean audit results to have sufficient staff to do a good job. Because we have seen in other places where staff is cut to such a level that they just can't keep up and mistakes happen and internal controls lapse. And so that's always good to have that focus as part of the goals of the finance team.
Tara, quick question for you. Outside of the accounting aspects and the controls that go around that, which they're pretty solid, were there any concerns in the systems that are capturing the information in regards to just data quality concerns, deprecation concerns with regards to the age of the systems or anything like that that might be a hindrance when we look at future audits in the following years?
Not that we've seen. We have a lot of experience with the accounting software and supplemental schedules and softwares that the district uses because a lot of school districts use them as well. And I think they're operating as intended for now. There are updates every once in a while, and I know a lot of districts have switched to like a cloud version. I don't remember if Sherwood did or not. Did you guys switch to the cloud version of Infinite Visions?
Our ESD has not transitioned yet. We've asked to be in the early group that transitions, and we think that'll happen sometime this spring, this summer. And the cloud-based version appears to be much more user-friendly. The version we use now feels like kind of 90s technology. And the cloud version, at the limited exposure that I've had to it, looks much more intuitive and much easier to extract information in the form you want it.
What is there an anticipated implementation investment, or not investment, but like implementation time in terms of transitioning everything over?
So that there is a written plan. I don't have it in front of me,
Yeah.
but it essentially starts. We'll get access to, there's a word for it, but it's almost like a provisional database where we can see our data, but it's not all of our data. and start to get used to it. Then once they work kind of the kinks out of that, they'll transfer the data, do some data validation. And the good news is we'll retain our desktop version for a couple of years. And all the data will be the same and synced, so that we can operate in the new, but if we get in a pickle and we just need the report we've always had, we can get back in. So we think it'll be a pretty good transition. Software transitions are always more difficult than the people who are guiding you through it tell you they're going to be. That's been my
Yeah.
And it's because things come up that they don't see, and ESD is doing a great job, but I think it's really wise that they're maintaining access to the system we have now so that in a pinch, we can get what we need.
Sounds great.
That's good to know. And when you guys are ready to implement, we can talk to you guys about some things we've learned too. Overall, I think you're right. It is a more user-friendly system, and I think it's going to be really solid. There were quite a few districts that switched last year, and I think in the first year there's always some hiccups. So I think that implementing a little later than the first round is really smart. So we can look at certain things with you guys as well.
Perfect.
Tara, one more quick question. I know kind of in a standard gap financial audit, there's always kind of the general computer controls testing that goes with that. I don't know if that's applicable like the GASB audit, but are there, or do you test and validate cybersecurity controls as well? Or are there any security concerns with regards to the way information is protected from the school board?
That's an excellent question. We do not actually test those controls. We gain an understanding of the systems in place, but we don't actually test them as part of our audit. But that's a really important topic these days when you see governments getting hacked and data being down. And yeah, that's a tough one.
So I can address that question. So we have our main insurance company is PACE, which is a kind of a consortium that insures most K-12 schools. And we have a cyber policy through them, and we have to meet certain requirements to get that cyber policy. But we also go out and get another fairly substantial policy, and we do that for two reasons. One, because we want the coverage, the financial coverage from a liability standpoint, but also their standards are really stringent for what you have to do to get to qualify for their policy. Our thought process being, it's almost as much worth it to have the engineers that are going to insure us tell us what we have to do. And so it's a twofold thought process there. We spend about $30,000 a year on that policy, but we feel like it's well worth it from both a liability standpoint, but more on the front end of avoiding getting hacked in the first place.
And that's the thing I've always heard as well, like a lot of the value of cyber insurance is just going through that underwriting process and making sure all the boxes are checked.
Yeah.
Insurance policies are getting harder
Yeah.
to fund because there's just happens all the time, right? So I don't know if there's ever just a general assessment on the state of security controls outside of what insurance would pay, but just, are we sufficiently protected as well? And that's something that the district ever considers.
A lot of what you see, I mean, the cost increases, but what the underwriting criteria increase, like that's a lot of where they kind of pull that switcheroo, where they're just like, last year we made you jump 10 feet tall, now we're gonna make you jump 20 feet tall, and then we're gonna charge you more afterward. And so in a lot of cases, it's the jumping 20 feet that gives the value, and then you just hope that you never have to rely on the policy.
And included in that are not only controls on the software side, but they have certain mandates about training staff and what we do around training staff and responding to phishing emails and things of that nature too. So it goes, I don't know if that's as robust as you're talking about, but it definitely gets into the human side and the technical side both.
Okay. Very good.
May not cover it all, but that's what we do. There may be more to do, and if there's more, I'd like to know what it is.
That's good. Okay.
I know there are companies out there that will come in and do a full evaluation of internal and external threats. I don't know the names on top of my head, but I know some other districts have had that done, and I've seen those reports. So I can look for some recommendations if you just want to see
Yeah,
the
that's great.
options.
Yeah, that'd be helpful.
I know there's been they've done some tabletop, I don't know, Brady's done some tabletop stuff with, I don't know if it's Pace or, yeah.
Okay. Other questions people have or topics they'd like to discuss? I guess what I would say to you, what I would ask you is, are the financial statements that we publish to the board and the community, are those adequate to tell you what you need in order to have a good understanding of our financial position? When you combine that with the audit and the budget report that goes out every year, is there anything else, is there anything we're missing that we should be considering?
I really appreciate all the work that's gone in over the last 3 years to improve that budget pack. I think that if people are watching remotely or on delay, like that's the place to go to get the information you need. And this document, the way I see it, is one, it's a requirement, so we're checking the box, but two, this makes sure that not only has an auditor gone through our financial information, but this document ties that information into what we talked about from a budget perspective, and us reviewing that and making sure we understand that reconciliation is a really important, kind of dot i's cross t's moment for the district that hopefully will serve us well going forward.
Yeah, I agree.
So it's been sufficient to give you the information you need to have a good understanding of where we are and where we're headed.
Yeah, more than, I mean, I think you've done a good job pulling the package together, making it very transparent.
And I was referring to the monthly financial things too. Does everything look okay on that front? If it does not, just let me know and I'm always willing to get after it.
I think it looks really good, and I think that obviously the history, Tara, that you bring with the district is really important as well. Continue to see those improvements and be able to, dig deeper, dive deeper, and just see that history of performance, which is really important.
Absolutely, I agree.
Anything else we need to discuss tonight or any questions anybody has? Well, I just want to say thanks to this group for coming together tonight and for your time tonight, and really to the fiscal team as well. They worked really hard all year long to prepare for this audit. We're kind of on the small side. I don't say that to complain. I say that to just give kudos to our team. They worked really hard. They accomplished a lot of work. They worked well together as a team. They fill in for each other. And it's a great team that does really great work, and I really appreciate them. And Kathy came into us brand new this year, and she's had quite the year picking up this role, coming from the auditing side to this job. But she's done a great job of learning really fast, and she's exciting to be having her 1 year anniversary next month, right? April.
Yeah.
And so she will have seen a full year, so I'm sure she's more excited than anybody about that.
Tara, I just want to say thank you for the partnership, and our team is appreciative of you and your team as well. And I think to your point there, like just that continuity and the ability to work through, we really take this seriously, and you do as well, and you care deeply. So thank you. I also want to thank our community members as well as our fiscal team who does lead this work. But it is the consistent daily and weekly check-ins that we have with Gary and Kathy and their team that really allow for this to come through and make a really nice representation of the hard work that we're doing and that we're trying to do as a district. So I just want to publicly thank Gary and your leadership, and Kathy and your leadership, and for your team that works tirelessly, especially around any sort of thing called audit season. And so we are greatly appreciative of that. And I just wanted to take this moment to say thank you.
Well, thank you, everyone. It was really nice having some time to chat. And you can also feel free to reach out at any time if you want to chat about anything else. I'm always available.
Thanks,
Thank
Tara.
you.
Okay,
Thank you, Tara.
thank you. Okay. The last thing we have, we don't need Tara for this portion, but just key things that we might want to include in the board presentation. Are there any key things that you'd like to include? I think Matt, I think you said you would do this presentation. Is that correct? Are there anything? I just want to give the committee an opportunity to make any suggestions for things we want to include to talk with the board about.
So the only thing, so going through it over the weekend, so the reason we decided not to present the meeting immediately following is just to be able to digest what we heard here and give space for any any items that might come up or questions or concerns. So at the next board meeting, I'll present and it will be a pretty short presentation because it's a clean, pretty tied together audit. So I might just kind of summarize why we started doing this and the state of play through the last 3 audits and just ways that we have shown continual improvement in what we are hearing from the auditor and
You can
Uh,
the presentation in the packet, exactly.
yeah, just making it clear to everybody that, you know, not just that this audit was clean, but that this is a continuation of a trend that we've seen for a number of years.
Perfect.
I think you did a nice job last year around also highlighting the fact that there is this committee. I think for our community members, it's nice for them to know that. Some may not know that, but it was a nice remembering of just that we had this fiscal accountability group that was also part of the bigger budget conversation and audit. So I appreciated that.
Perfect.
I'm not saying you need to keep doing that, but I'm just saying that was nice last year.
I will go through all that stuff. I'll do a similar.
Yeah, you do a nice job, yeah.
Presentation to what I did last year, but just because there will be fewer items to discuss this year. I am doing a quick look back and saying, you know, now we're to the point where I think we're pretty, you know, we set out 3 years ago to make sure that we would not end up in a similar position, and I think we didn't find anything, but Gary
You play
has that Gary has really moved us in a direction where I think we can say a lot of that work is done. And now it's just a matter of continuing and monitoring to make sure that we stay on track.
Yeah, it feels really tight, and it's my second go around now. So the first 3 years, this is a lot different.
Feels much better. I was not happy about the first.
This is really nice and tight now. So
But that's the point. I mean, it takes these are things that you don't get done in 1 year. These are things that take 3 years to do, and that was a lot of work over 3 years, and so it's time to recognize that and celebrate that. And also to celebrate bringing Kathy on and all the hard work that you've done to push this to the state that it's in now. Very appreciated.
He's done a great job in bringing just a different perspective, coming from an auditing background, having auditing schools, K-12 schools in particular, really having a good understanding of those accounting practices. And you've done a really good job of not only bringing those to the table, but also of learning sort of the operational side of your job, which you've never seen before, really. And it's big, and it's pretty substantial. So, thanks for all your work. And now she's learning to build a budget.
that's great.
It's a team effort, and so the team should feel really proud
It is
about where we're at.
It is a team effort. All right, well, if there's nothing more, I think we can just go ahead and adjourn this meeting.
Yeah,
And thanks for your time, and we really appreciate it, and we'll see you at the budget committee.
Fantastic work.